It's like when I used to make music, dude, I'd kick everybody out the studio. Like, y'all can't be looking at me.
Weird, right?
Here we go.
Filmed from a live studio audience. First time. No comments from the peanut gallery, hopefully.
Welcome back to the Belts Off Podcast. Let us know if the sound and everything is all right as we get this loaded up. There's a few second delay. We'll find us on the right one and not the one previous, so you don't think ghosts are here, Michael. There we are. The last one I pulled up the wrong video, and he's like, wait, there's somebody there?
We were waiting for Ross to come, too,
Yeah.
so it was
Made sense. All right, we are there. We are in frame. Everything is good. All right, so one that I posted this morning. This one popped up a couple times over the last couple weeks. I don't know why this is ringing in my ear right now, but I heard one of my guys say it a couple weeks ago. I heard one of your guys' a few days ago, and then I saw a video yesterday, and it was all the same thing, saying wizard instead of whizzer.
Whizzer. There's no D in it.
There's
It sounds
no D.
like it.
And it went like huge this morning.
Oh, you made something about it?
Yeah, yeah. It went,
There's a
seen that.
gentleman with the last name of Wizard that was really good at that overhook, apparently. Good enough, like Ricardo De La Hiva was at the De La Hiva, right? To name it after him, Wizard. No D.
Yeah. It was funny though, because a lot of people were like, "Oh man, I've gone 5 years, I've gone 7 years with saying wizard," and a lot of people were saying, "I don't care if it's wizard. Wizard sounds cooler, so I'm using
Sounds
wizard."
cooler. And that's like my pet peeve. I'm like a grammar frickin', I like to have everything right. Rosie in kids' classes loves to call Oompas with an M, like a frickin' Oompa Loompa or whatever. And it pisses me off because I'll always be like, they're Oompas, there's no M in it. And she'll be like, Oompas, like just to mess with me. It needs to be called the correct thing.
That's hilarious.
Wizard.
Yeah, I don't even pay attention to the names, though. I just try to get the technique down.
I'm going to turn into Dan here and start calling everything the Japanese original name. and
Right?
stuff.
Yeah, Luke says, I thought it was wizard. A lot of people, I'd say half the people out there think it was wizard.
Wizard.
Pretty funny. So I had a Brazilian instructor, so the names of things, like, he didn't know, like, the English, terms and stuff, so everything was just, hey, do this, hey, do this,
Right.
so I'm still catching up with the actual names of everything.
I don't think everything has a name, really, man, because I think when it's a situation where, a simple technique is discovered all around the globe by different people, they're all going to name it whatever. For the longest time, I called the flower sweep a base check sweep. I literally made up a name because I discovered the technique on my own. I didn't have somebody formally teach me a flower sweep. I just started doing it. So because of that, I named it, right? I feel like if you discover a technique on your own, I feel like you have the right to name it, and then you just have to kind of like keep your eyes out there, because once I saw that the flower sweep existed as the flower sweep, long before I called it something else, I was like, all right, I'll go with flower. All right? You don't want to steal it.
Definitely. And you'll feel like that, too.
No, it's funny though, because a lot of people will talk about techniques as if they're invented, like it's a freaking thing that you invented, and you're like, I invented this move. You didn't invent nothing, bro. You discovered it. Techniques are like dinosaur bones. You dig them up, you discover them. Nobody invents them.
Yeah.
They're all out there right now. Every one that exists is there. Go find them.
Yeah, it's been around for thousands of years. That one, people were like, "Oh, what are you gonna name it? The slicer from that side control."
What are you gonna name it?
It has a name. I already forgot what it was
is
called. Our far side bicep slicer.
I mean, that's what names usually end up being. It's just they describe it. It's a description of the technique.
There was a couple names that popped up, but that was after I had like thousands of interactions on it. Nobody knew what it was called, and then like there was a couple people were like, "Oh yeah, this was posted 10 years ago. Here's the name for it."
Yep. And then there
my
it
shit.
is. There it is.
No, I was completely fine with it. I wasn't gonna name it or anything. I just didn't know the name of it. And then everyone's like, "Oh, you need to name it." And I'm like,
Well, I remember seeing this video, or not a video, a picture of like an old Marines grappling thing from like the 50s.
Yeah.
These two Marine guys were grappling, and one had the other in a twister.
Yeah.
Straight up, locked in a twister, and it was clear, everything was correct about it. Eddie Bravo didn't invent that, he just named it, all right? Twister's been around for decades, every technique is.
right, Marcus says, the Willis Bros have a good version of the flower sweep, super flower sweep with the lapel. Just a wee adjustment.
Nice.
Yeah.
So flower sweep with the lapel instead of what, I wonder? Because no, a fundamental flower sweep is a sleeve grip and a pants grip, right, on the cuff of the pants, foot on the mat, and then blast them over with your leg. I wonder what the lapel is replacing. Because I do a version as well, where instead of my foot on the mat, I have a sleeve grip, a pant cuff grip, and my foot goes on their hip, right? I step on their hip and then blast them with my leg the same way a flower sweep. And that's what I call the base check. But it's essentially just a flower sweep with your foot on the hip. I'm curious to what the lapel grip is.
Yeah, send us a link to it. We'll take a look when we do our live techniques.
Oh, I don't have my gi. No, my gi. Sorry.
Me neither.
And I forgot my wrestling shoes. I'm going to wrestling practice after this. I forgot everything, bro.
All right, all good. We'll still cover something. 2 fighters missed weight for the UFC. They were undercard guys. But wrap the leg with the lapel.
Wrap the leg.
Like a worm?
Okay, so it must be instead of a cuff grip, maybe you have the lapel wrapped somehow hooked, and you could. I can imagine that helping a flower sweep for sure, man. There you go.
2 fighters missed weight. What do you guys think of fighters missing weight? That's their job,
Well,
right?
you
They
know,
gotta
technically,
make weight.
You got 2 jobs, bro.
Were they
Make weight
fighting
and
each
fight.
other, the 2 guys that missed weight?
No, it was
okay.
undercard guys, but 2 of them missed
Okay.
weight.
I was gonna say, if they
missing
were
weight
fighting
is-
each other, let them go.
Right. I mean, missing weight is no good.
Yeah.
Don't miss weight, man. I mean, you got 2 jobs: make weight and fight. Right.
I think they take 30 to 40% of the pay
Man, I
now.
thought it was 10.
No, it was 20%, and then
Was it?
every few years it seems to go up.
Now it's not that they take it in the UFC; they give it to the opponent
to the opponent.
to
Yep.
to accept the fight. It makes
Right.
total
Yeah,
sense.
a little
Dock your
incentive.
pay, give it to the other guy. You're fighting up a weight now, or a catch weight, whatever.
Yeah, catch weight. Usually it's about half, but every now and then you'll see one of those missed weights, and it's 6-7 pounds. It's like,
Right.
what were you
Well,
doing?
the most recent one, check it out, man. The most recent one where that happened was Cosmont, right? Remember? And he was weighing in, smiling, missing weight by 7 pounds. Bro, I will stand my ground on he was told to not make weight.
Right.
I will stand my ground on that. I think the UFC didn't want him to fight whoever he was going to fight, wanted him to fight, who did he end up fighting, Diaz? Or something, like some awesome fight stepped in
Right.
because he missed weight by 7 pounds. They set all that up, man. The UFC is sports entertainment, you guys. It's sports entertainment, just like the WWE, except for its real fights, right? But they reserve the right as a sports entertainment business to twist stuff up and lie to you.
That makes sense.
Just like WWE, man.
I was 2 pounds over in our last tournament, my first one as a blue belt, and they called it a COVID wiggle room and let me compete.
Derek had one of those. He came in because there's a 1 pound allowance. He came in 0.7 over the 1
1
pound
pound, yeah.
allowance, and they're like,
Yeah, I was 2
it's
pounds, so
fine.
they let it slide. They're like, COVID. it's
I think
cool.
one time in my life I didn't make weight, and it was in wrestling, high school wrestling. My junior year, I was supposed to go 119s. I was cutting too much weight. I ended up having to go 125s. But yeah, that was the only time in my life I didn't make weight. It was devastating too.
Yeah.
Devastating. Ruined my junior year.
Yeah, that's weak. I know that morning too, I woke up, it was 5 in the morning, and that tournament was in Reno, so it was cold as shit. I went to the marina and I took a garbage bag, I cut it out so I could put it on, and I
Yeah,
tied it
it's a
to
little
me so I could
sweatsuit.
sweat. Yeah,
Nice.
put my sweatshirt on, dude. I ran 2 miles and I was still 2 pounds over. I was so mad, but they let me compete, so.
I went to a tournament with a guy, and he was over, I think, by 2 or 3 pounds. And he did a similar thing, but he was just gathering everybody's sweatshirt that he could
Yeah.
get. He had 6 different sweatshirts on, and he went to run. Yeah, that was funny. Marcus says, Wonder Boy refused his second last fight, remember, due to a massive weight miss.
So by his opponent?
Yeah.
His opponent missed weight and he
Yeah.
refused the fight? To me, if that's the case, you probably weren't really excited for that fight in the first place, right? I mean, because why not fight him anyway and just take 20% of his purse or whatever they
30
give
or 40,
nowadays,
man,
30
yeah.
or 40. And then also, everybody knows it's public knowledge. He missed weight. You're fighting. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't take the fight anyway.
Yeah.
I'm always shocked when guys don't accept the fight against the dude that missed weight. Plus, man, he's out of shape. That guy's not in shape. He missed weight. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
What does it tell you when a guy that always makes weight doesn't once? He didn't train the same. Something happened different. He done messed up.
Injury or
Yeah,
who
he
knows
could be
what.
hurt, right? There's a lot of, might not telling the public that he's hurt, right? Something to help to make him make miss weight. You better take that fight and smoke that guy, man.
This is a perfect segue. So Dave and Caroline Troy says, with the recent updates on Gordon's stomach issues, it doesn't appear like we will see Gordon versus Mason until ADCC. So let's go in. We'll talk about that, but let's talk about Dylan. So Dylan's been MIA for the last few ones.
Yep.
You were sick though, right?
Stomach issues.
I was, I actually missed you guys. I was watching some of the videos. I'm like, damn, I wish I was there.
Dylan's got stomach issues.
Yeah.
Goes to that.
Yeah, it just
Sounds
stems
fun.
from when I was a kid. Well, when I was born with it was called gastrogesis, and what that is my intestines were on the outside of my body,
Holy shit.
so they had to put them back into place. And as I got older, I never really had any issues, but what happened is they're not perfectly in place, so like they can kind of like move or twist on their own, and when they twist, dude, it's just excruciating pain, and then I got like scar tissue built up from it. Plus, I got a hernia in my stomach that they don't want to fix because to do a surgery on the hernia causes more scar tissue, so which could further cause more damage in the long run.
Damn.
So yeah, it's been fucked up. So yeah, I was just in the hospital for like 4 days. I'm still not 100%. Just been walking. Trying to keep everything mellow and just get better.
Very inspirational though, because you're doing your 30 days of cardio.
Yeah.
And you're posting videos of you cruising up and down
Yeah.
Pushing the walker
with
in
the
the
IV,
hospital.
with the
Like,
IV,
what's up?
pushing his IV up and down the
Checking his
hall.
heart rate.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest too, because I was like in hella pain before that too, and they came in. They're like, "How's your pain?" I'm like, I'm messed up." And so like, all right, so they shot me up with some morphine, and like 10 minutes later, I was like, oh, I feel
I'm good.
right?
I'm
And then I
good.
started thinking, I was
Let's go
like,
for a walk.
I was
Go
mad.
for a run.
I was all mad. I messed up the 75 hard challenge. I was like on day 3. I was like, well, shit, I can still do my cardio, right? They got hallways. They said it's good for me to walk. I was like, fuck it, I'm out. So I did that like 3-4 days in the hospital, and then I just been walking ever since. Haven't got back to the gym. Still kind of just keeping my diet mellow, because they said avoid like, fatty foods, fried food, and veggies, like uncooked veggies, apples with pills on them and shit like that. Fucks up my
Okay.
stomach. So yeah, just been kind of keeping it mellow. But definitely glad to be back.
So they rotate your intestines rotate.
They like twist on
Twist
their
up.
own, and
So what do they do in the hospital? Do they massage that out?
no,
Do they
they do
just
nothing.
let it.
They
just give you
restrict my
morphine.
food. They restrict my water.
Give you a
and
shot.
You just kind of have to like wait it out, and if they don't untwist on their own, it's surgery.
Damn.
And surgery just just furthers the
More scar
the
tissue.
damage.
and
Yeah.
whatnot, yeah.
Is there any physical activity that actually leads to that happening, or it just happens?
Like the twisting.
Knee on belly.
Not that I know of. Like every time. Nah. Every time I feel like it's happened, it's been like food related. Like I remember the time before this, I was telling Nick earlier. I had a bag of frozen broccoli, and I threw it in the microwave, ate the whole bag, and like 2 hours later, I was in the hospital.
Wow.
And then this last time too, I was at Safeway. I bought a box of the apple slices. They come like 6 packages in a box, and I ate the whole thing. And like 2 hours later, same thing in the
Wow.
hospital. So when she told me the veggies and the apples and shit, I was like,
Interesting, man.
could that be what's causing it? And she's like, yeah, very well
Very
could be.
interesting.
Trying to eat healthy and
I
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
man,
And she's
that
like, that's
backfires.
really healthy for like a healthy person, but for you, she's like,
Oh,
kind of gotta avoid that shit. So,
Crazy.
yeah,
well, we're glad you're back.
yeah, glad to be here.
With Gordon Ryan's thing, are you familiar with Gordon Ryan's?
I think he's got.
No.
Doesn't he have similar to what Brock Lesnar had, or is it different?
No, his is different. So his is like extreme nausea, so he can't eat anything.
Brutal.
He's always been trying to like gain weight to get to the bigger sizes. Everything that I know came off of when he was on the Joe Rogan Experience, and he was talking about basically he just gets extremely nauseous whether he eats or doesn't eat. So he's always in that state of like feeling like he's got to throw up.
That sucks.
Yeah. So if he
Definitely.
does eat, then he can, but it's all. He can't keep
my
anything
shit will
down.
cause me to throw up too sometimes when
Yeah,
it's
you
super
can't
bad. Not this last time, but the time before that I was in the hospital. They actually had to go up my nose with a tube into my stomach and suck
yeah,
out
yeah.
food out. I had that shit in for 3 days. Dude. It was brutal. You just watching it come out. Dude. It's all like disgusting colors.
Dang, man. Through your sinuses, huh?
Yeah, and they went up through one nostril, right? And it wouldn't, the tube wouldn't go up, dude. And like, I don't know, you could like feel it, dude. He's like trying to ram the shit up, and you just hear it hitting the cartilage, and my nose is just bleeding everywhere. And then he's like, let's go up the other nose.
Morphine first, bro. Morphine first, then tube me.
And then he goes up the other nose. He's like, all right, now we gotta make sure we didn't pierce your lung. And then so he's like, I'm like, dude, fuck this shit.
Gosh, dang,
Yeah, it's been an experience for sure, dude.
Fuck that.
I've had a broken nose, so like one side's super clogged off, and the other side is open, so they would definitely have to go up one side.
Yeah.
I have a deviated septum too. I don't think I ever broke my nose or anything. I just have it.
Yeah.
So yeah, they'd have a
I
hard
broke my
time.
nose a couple times, I think. So when I was younger, that's probably what it's from.
All right. So yeah, Gordon Ryan. Hopefully he gets back because he figured some things out and then was able to make that run.
He found the right doctor at one point. I remember because I follow him on IG. I know he at one point he found the right doctor.
Put on all
and
that
everything was
size.
working.
Yeah.
Everything was working out well. So hopefully, just go back to that doctor. I guess.
Yeah, that's weak, dude. Stomach issues suck.
Wrist locks, foot locks, high level jujitsu or cheater jujitsu?
Shortcut jujitsu. I guess now it's legit.
Whatever it works.
Legit, man. And like not utilized enough.
Right.
Not utilized enough, man. You're just sitting there trying to struggle to finish your omoplata. When you look down and right in your lap, there's a wrist just dangling there. Just fold that thing down, man. You know, and yeah, they're not utilized enough. They're there more often than you realize.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I've been in situations where I've been on my back with my feet up, open guard, and my hands just kind of like this, and Rosie will reach down and just, right? Oh, man, you didn't even pass my guard or nothing, right? So, yeah, they're there more often than you realize.
And they take a whole lot less effort, especially if the guy's way bigger than you.
Yeah. Especially like toe holds and shit. You get me in those all the time.
Those are great, man.
With the wrist, like, it's so small that
small,
if they're
small.
giant, like, trying to take an arm or do something, it's like, ooh, we got a nice little bendy wrist that we can attack.
Right.
And you can set up wrist locks from every other position, right? Arm bars, triangles, whatever you're going for.
Everything.
Just isolate that wrist out and use it. I find myself going to them more and more. Or like the reverse knee on belly. Usually the feet come right up to you.
Toe hold them.
Yep.
Right.
Battle some toes rather than battling the knee.
Right.
Like, oh, what's this?
Thank you.
Yeah. I've been like in like, yeah, being in like top half guard or something, then just turning around and going for that.
They're just
foot
dangling.
instead, dude. Just bail and everything, go for the toe.
Yeah. So Marcus was asking which foot locks do I go for. So I went off into this like rabbit hole. It started with lasso spider. That leads you into like your X guards, and then that leads you into all the foot locks and positions from there. So that's really where I started playing more of it. But yeah, so that's kind of the rabbit hole that I went down as far as the foot locks go. I've always liked foot locks because, again, if you can isolate that piece, and so often it's just dangling in front of you.
Yeah, I would say like ankle locks, straight ankle locks, and foot locks are very close to each other, right? Yeah. They're only a couple inches apart. You know, a nice Achilles lock or something. Those are all in the same range. Yeah. I would suggest if you're a person that's out there who's like, I've tried to mess with ankle locks, I don't get them. Mm-hmm. Try to slip lower, down towards the foot. Mm-hmm. Okay, I would suggest that even, towards the Achilles or towards the foot, almost to the point where that foot's about to pop out. It's about to slip out, right? If you go any farther, it might slip out. If you can keep it from slipping out, you'll attack all those little bones by the toes of the foot, right? You got the top of your foot, right? All these little bones right here. Oh, those don't.
I feel it already.
Doesn't take much to break those, man. So you get a nice one that's about to pop out but doesn't, and then give it a finish. Maybe go for foot locks specifically instead of ankle locks. The problem is that I see a lot of people not even knowing the difference between any of them. They'll be doing an ankle lock saying a foot lock, right? Or they'll be clearly doing a foot lock calling it an ankle lock. I missed that ankle lock. It's like, you had a foot lock there, bro. They're very close to each other, but a little different. So slide down low to where it almost pops out. You might be able to finish more.
It also comes with control. So I had a guy that was posting a thing. He was a white belt, and he was asking, "Oh, should I spend some time on the foot locks and the wrist locks and everything?" Gain control first. Gain control over the limb rather than just running for it. So when you find yourself in a triangle, when you find yourself with the arm bar, look for those. And I would say that would be like a good intro place to arm bars. Don't just like start abandoning your good technique and your passing to go for crazy stuff. Now, once you're higher level, do whatever you want. But when you're first starting, position is everything.
I mean, the wrist locks that are out there that don't include control are few.
That's Aikido.
Yeah, right. Or like the one I was describing, where it's unexpected, my hand's just on the mat, and it's reach for a quick shove, right? Those ones are very few. So most of these wrist locks I'm talking about, at least, they come from control positions, arm bar positions where the guy's, like this, and you just attack the wrist instead. Side control position, omoplata, clearly. You're in that spot where they're trying to somersault, you're not letting them, and meanwhile that wrist is just like that, right, in your lap, But yeah, control is obviously, if you're just like not even passing or anything, just reaching for a wrist, you're going to look like a fool, right? Control them first, then attack wrists, but don't abandon them, right, unless your coach doesn't want you doing them, right? Depends on where you train. Don't go and wrist lock everybody tonight and then say, "Oh, Bell Top Podcast said I should."
They get a bad rap. I think they get a So one of the things that you've told me is, I'm small, so be spiky. Like
be spiky.
Be spiky. Use the elbows. Use the things.
Yeah.
In order to keep that space, because I can't match you muscle for muscle,
right,
or size for size. So
you could throw up a spike though.
Be spiky. Put the thorns out.
Puffer fish, right? Puffer fish, spike up.
Marcus, we talked about this a couple weeks ago in the podcast. Marcus says, Aokis are death, Aoki locks with that foot.
Is that okay?
That's the one where you're going for like the lasso and that the Aoki locks right there. The heel hook one that they're
lassoing you and you catch it.
Common for me at the moment. So another one that stirred up some controversy on the page was Jeff Glover. Some people love Jeff Glover. Some people hate Jeff Glover. Why you hate
Jeff Glover? Well, I would like to know why they hate Jeff Glover. What did Jeff Glover do? Pull guard and win street fights? That was another one. Come on. The guy's right, dude. Come on, man. Like, no matter what gym you train at, I don't care where you train, unless it's like brand new gym or whatever, but then at least you got the black belt teacher or whoever, the brown belt owner, whoever it is, right? So there's somebody at your gym that could pull guard and win a street fight, right? Like, go to your gym, look for the monster beast black belt guy that kicks everybody's ass, and ask yourself, if that guy went and pulled guard, could he win it? Hell yeah, he could. Yeah. Being good at jiu-jitsu means that sitting on your ass is a way to get the fight to the ground, right? You can't call it a takedown. I didn't take you down. You might even still be on your feet standing over me. But I'm bringing the fight to the ground, and absolutely people could pull guard and win a street fight. Okay, we just don't want our students that are beginning, right, to go do that. You got to get good. But this is a martial art that is predominantly off its back. How could you think we can't win fights off our back against untrained people that are just throwing punches?
Yeah.
Of course we can. Of course. It's silly.
Ramsey Dewey was one of the participants in the Ultimate Self-Defense Championships. And looking back, he said that he would have, they did a knife defense drill where somebody with a knife attacks you and you have to try to like get stabbed the least and protect your vitals. Mm-hmm. He says he wish he would have just dropped to his back and
why didn't he? That's the first thing I pictured doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny. Everyone went for takedowns or wrist control, knife control, and then the knives got switched off and they all got stabbed.
Of course. He's like, you want to commit your hands to anything but both, I mean, 2-on-1 on my back, 100%.
And he's a former MMA fighter. He's an MMA coach at this point. And yeah, he's like, I should have just dropped to my back and used my legs.
Yeah. There's an awesome video of John Fitch doing a knife fight with like a Marine or something. And it's so sick. They're using one of those electric knives where if it touches you, you feel a little jolt. Yeah. And it's badass, bro. These guys go at it. And it's just super hyper 2-on-1 focus. 2-on-1 focus, man. You put both your hands on that one hand that has the weapon in it, right? It's cool. Cool video, though. They go at it.
Those are cool. Marcus says, as you move through the years, most rules can be broken that you originally learned early on.
True story.
And I think that becomes where perfect segue into this next one. Jean-Jacques Machado says that the more you learn in jiu-jitsu, the less you use. Mm-hmm. And it's a similar thing, is once you've learned the variables and you've learned what can happen if you go that direction, it's very similar to like boxing, kickboxing. You typically slip to the outside of a punch so that you're protected, but slipping to the inside can have advantages for counters.
There's
and things.
a time for it.
But you need to know the danger of slipping to the inside because that too can be crossing up. There could be knees and things coming at you. But if you know what they can attack you with as you go that direction, you're prepared for whatever they're going to throw at you. You're not just stepping into space. So a lot of times instructors will give you these hard rules. Don't do that. Of
course.
It's more don't do that yet.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, man, we teach our kids never jaywalk. Never. They're going to nobody's coming, no cars, go jaywalk. Like, there's a time to break the rules, man. There's a time when it's okay, when it's safe, or sometimes even when you ain't got no other option, right? Like the whole don't put your hands on the mat when you're in somebody's guard. Of course you put your hands on it every now and then. You just don't want to make a dumb habit of leaving them there and getting Kimura and stuff. So, yeah, you always teach people as though you never break this rule. Like you're working with a kid, never do that, right? And then, of course, the kid or the student will discover times to do it.
Or we have that class. I know I've told you never do this,
yeah, right.
But now we're doing this.
Yeah, right.
And you take
There's a time and a place for everything, man.
Had a few of those.
Yeah. It's like, all right, now that I see you're proficient and you've built the habit of doing what you're supposed to do, okay, here's the variable.
When you break the rule.
Yes.
There's a time.
All right, we did trivia last week. That was fun, so we got another trivia for you guys. Most knockout wins in the UFC. Any guesses?
Most knockout wins. Who are the heavy hitters, man, throughout history?
I think I've seen you post this, right?
Nope, haven't posted this one yet.
Let me see it.
In the comments, let us know, who do you think has the most knockout wins in the UFC? And you can do like a 1, 2, 3. I got the top 4 on the board. And the top 4, there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 names because there's ties.
Oh, there's ties. Bunch of ties.
So you got good chances to guess.
Is number 1 a tie?
Number 1 and number 2 are not ties.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I'll have to come back to that one. I'll have to think about that.
Clue. I don't follow the UFC enough.
Could be a Stipe. Could be an Anderson.
We can go into it. Let's go into it.
I'll go with Anderson at least being somewhere in there. All those wins, and he finished dudes. I know he got into kind of a habit of dancing and not finishing guys, though. So
he is on the list.
Okay.
Not number 1 or 2.
Stipe, is he a KO artist?
Stipe is not on the list.
Not on the list.
There are a couple people who I'll give a hint on one of these. He's number 4. He's known for not having powerful hands.
Nick Diaz?
No.
Nate Diaz?
Good guess, though. Same era.
Okay.
But he's kind of to modern days, too. But he was around with the Nick. Let's get into it. Let's do tied for number 4. We'll go backwards on this one. Tied at number 4 are Bisping. Bisping's the one that's not known for knockout hands.
No, he's not.
Cain Velasquez.
Makes
JDS.
sense.
There's the battle there. And
Makes sense.
Cowboy Cerrone.
All right. Yeah.
So
makes sense because he was sleeping a lot of people for a while.
He's got that like highlight reel video game knockout. It was like a 6-piece combo. That
he was a finish or be finished kind of guy always. That's why he was such a fan favorite, man.
Ties at number 3 are Anderson Silva, Anthony Johnson, Thiago Santos.
Who is it?
Thiago Santos.
Oh, Thiago.
Yeah.
Okay.
I said it wrong.
Okay.
Anthony Johnson and Anderson Silva. So I was at. It was supposed to be Daniel Cormier versus John Jones, and John Jones was the one that pulled out of that one, and it became Anthony Johnson.
Okay.
Cormier.
And Cormier beat him.
So I was at that one, UFC 187, and I don't know if you remember, but the hook that Anthony Johnson landed on Cormier sent him flying across 3/4 of the cage.
No, I don't
Seeing
remember.
that in person was
But-
ridiculous.
I know Anthony Johnson. To see him in person must have been ridiculous.
He,
That guy's
like,
a freak.
Superman across. Before the fights, I shook Cormier's hand, and it was like I couldn't get my hand around his palm.
Big dude.
It was
Yeah.
crazy. He's only 5'9", so
Right.
we were the same height. But like his palm,
He
was
a little
like-
wider.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And Anthony Johnson is just an action figure.
Yeah,
that guy's
he
just
was,
like
yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
Cormier, man, how's that? Not intimidated by none of that. Knows I'm gonna beat this guy, and does, and gets hit that hard and still wins the fight. Like Cormier is something different, man.
He is,
He's
yeah.
cut from a different cloth.
Oh,
Those
he's so
wrestlers,
worn out
bro.
for getting hit
Those
like that?
Olympic
Yeah,
level
yeah,
wrestlers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Olympic level wrestlers are just different, dude. Cejudo and those guys. I mean, I know they're not always the most entertaining, but they win, man.
They were doing like cage grappling, and then they separated a little bit, bang, and he just like Superman across the cage. Across the net. It was crazy. Number 2 is the immortal Matt Brown.
Love it. I love Matt Brown, dude. I'm stoked that he's there because
He's had a rough patch.
them elbows, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was always fun to watch. And number 1 is Derek Lewis.
Okay.
My balls are hot.
The beast. Yep. Yep.
I was surprised that
How many?
It was 14-15, somewhere in there. Okay. Yeah.
Crazy.
It's a lot
And
of
those are
KOs,
the two
man.
I never heard about.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right. I mean, I thought about Lewis, but I was thinking that maybe he didn't have the number of fights yet. I just have been disconnected from MMA. Apparently, he's fought quite a bit. How many fights does that guy have?
A lot.
Must have 20 already if
Yeah.
he's
I think he's
15 knockouts.
got more than that.
Jeez.
25, I think.
Wow, that's so many fights in the UFC, man.
I don't think all of them were in the UFC.
Okay.
But like 24,
So, but all these
25.
knockouts from the UFC, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So, yeah, he came in hands a swinging.
Crazy.
I was surprised Mark Hunt wasn't in here.
I know.
Mark Hunt's knocked out tons of people. But he always had like a 50-50 record. He'd go like 11-11,
Yeah,
13.
and he was so hard to knock out.
He was.
Polynesian guy, man, with that big, thick bone structure, dude. Like, I swear he'd block punches with his chin.
Solid.
Break your fist on my face, bro.
And McGregor popped up in the news this morning. Dana White came out and said that the fight that McGregor announced is not official.
Okay. Okay. McGregor's announcing this.
Figures, right?
He said we're gonna see him this year, but I mean it's January, guys.
Yeah.
He's like we'll see him this year,
This year, thanks. Yeah.
but
12
nothing's announced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, McGregor, I think he's just not done with juice yet. He needs to get done with juice, right? Before he comes back to get tested.
It would seem that way.
He's not done juicing. He wants to be a 185-pounder now, so...
The weight class isn't confirmed. The opponent isn't confirmed. The date isn't nothing. That
I mean,
McGregor-
it's not confirmed by the UFC, but
Right.
Connor calls his own shots, dude. I
He
could
can,
imagine that it will be at 185 against Chandler. Like, I can imagine it's whatever. I mean, did he say Chandler, or did he just say...
He just said nothing. None. Dana White came out. and
No,
said
I mean like
none.
Connor. When Connor
yeah,
made
he
his
did.
announcement, he
He
did
said-
say Chandler.
He said Chandler at 185.
I bet you that'll happen. He calls his shots, man. Yeah.
That'd be interesting to see. But funny that it's all over the place. But coming off of a leg break like that, man, take the steroids.
Take him. Heal up, buddy.
It's,
Heal up.
you know, Anderson Silva came back after it, but flopped. Weidman came back after it, but flopped. Right?
Yeah, I loved Weidman too.
Everyone
Big
had
Weidman.
losing records after coming back
After
from
those
that.
disgusting leg breaks.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Connors wasn't as bad as those guys. Connors folded at the joint. It didn't
Did
break.
it?
Yeah, it
I
didn't.
thought
It didn't
broke
do
at the
that.
shin.
No, his was an ankle, right?
I thought it was a shin. Let us know.
No.
Was Connors a shin
No,
break, or
because
was
I
it an
remember
ankle?
he threw the kick, put it on the ground, and the ankle like folded all weird and gross. I think, and the others were clear bone
Yeah.
snaps. I don't know. No, now you got me questioning it.
Ankle. Marcus says ankle.
Okay, yeah, I thought
and then
so.
Luke says I
It was
thought
still disgusting.
I thought a shin. It was
Bleh.
disgusting. We got a couple things.
Yeah, the Weidman shin, the Anderson Silva shin, those were disgusting, absolute gross, like leg breaks. I feel like Connors was close, but lower at the joint. So I would imagine the healing.
So who was it? It was I think Luke said, I thought UFC pulled out of USADA.
Yeah, but
USADA.
they got somebody new. It's
Yeah,
not
they're-
USADA, but
They're going in-house, I believe. They're going to hire and
Right.
bring up their own. So they're still testing. It's
Yeah.
just not USADA
they were
testing.
just getting a lot of flack about the 6 a.m., 5 a.m. day of weigh-ins,
Yeah.
urine tests that they're waking these guys up for and stuff. So, yeah, they got a lot of negative feedback from the fighters. And I think USADA kind of just thought that they were like there's nothing you could do. We're going to be here forever, so we're going to treat you how we want. And then they got the boot.
I'm just looking up the leg break.
Guys, isn't that disgusting?
That is...
Yeah, that's right at the ankle, bro. Oh, gosh.
Is it though?
Look.
Yeah, right there.
Ew, man, can you imagine, dude?
That might be worse though, right?
Could be. I don't know. Honestly, I wouldn't know which one is worse.
I broke my ankle in middle school, and it was just like a half inch away from the growth plate.
Oh.
And they're like, if you would have hit that growth plate, you'd need the shoes, the offset, and the whole thing. Yeah, I was playing football at recess, and I went left, and my ankle went right.
Somebody juked you, broke your ankles.
I was trying to juke them. It was like a kickoff return, and because I was always super.
Two-hand
I was
touch.
small, but I was always like super fast, and yeah,
Shifty.
shifty there.
Too shifty.
Definitely. Well, that time it definitely was. Yeah. I've seen shin breaks in real life. It's horrible. That's Marcus.
Gosh.
Eesh. Yeah, could you imagine like the sound of a shin snapping?
Like a Louisville Slugger breaking, dude. It would sound like a when I blew my ACL out once, and that sounded like somebody, almost like a gunshot, dude. No joke. It sounded like a loud break fall right next to my ear. It was crazy, and I blew out my own ACL. A guy had me in an electric chair lockdown, half guard, bottom half guard. I was on top. It was a submission only tournament as a purple belt, and he had dominated me positionally up to that point. We were like 12 minutes into the no time limit match, and I finally found a top half guard with a Kimura, and I was so happy. I finally got a submission in my hands, but he had me locked down and my legs straight, and I had to rotate, finish the Kimura. I had to rotate against the lockdown, and I just decided that I could, and I blew my own ACL. I went to finish it. I heard it go boom, and I just said, screamed out, ah! Right? And I was like, that's a tap. I remember saying, that's a tap. You win. And then, my leg had no stability, and it basically blew up.
How long did that take to recover?
Like a year total, like 9 months to where I was like able to train again, 9 months-ish, and then didn't feel like really back for probably a year later.
That ever mess with you mentally?
It did for a while, during right when that year hit and I was kind of better. I was still mentally scared for sure, but since then it's gotten to the point where I have a hard time remembering which leg it was. Like sometimes people will say which one, and I'll be like, try to remember. I can't remember right now. I think it was my right leg. No, it was my left leg because it was Kimura on this side. Yeah.
I think part of my knee issues go back to when I was a kid. I had a pretty bad fall. My stepdad's a painter, so we had 5-gallon buckets all over the place, and we had rope. And so I threw the rope over the tree, and there was a hole in the top of the bucket, so I threaded the rope through, tied the knot, sat on the bucket, was pulling myself up. Bucket slipped over the knot. Came down, my knee smashed directly on the root of the tree.
There you go.
The whole skin was peeled off of the top of the kneecap.
That could still be messing with you, huh?
Because it's the kneecap area that affects me. So
injuries as little kids do haunt you, man. I got a compression fracture when I was 11 years old in my back. Haunts me to this day.
Compression fractures are like that. They call it turf toe when it's in your toe. I got both.
Oh, really?
One in each big toe, and it's the same thing. It's every now and then when it's super cold or something.
Yeah, dude.
So my ankle guard, huh?
Yeah.
No, but how loud that ACL blowout was.
Marcos was saying it's like a gunshot.
It is like a gunshot, and so imagine a shin. Imagine how that would sound. I feel like that would just be like 2 pieces of 2x4 just clapping together or something, So loud.
Brutal.
Disgusting. All right. Let us know what technique you got time for the technique today?
I do. I think so because I have to teach wrestling at like 2 something.
So you'll get street clothes again.
Street clothes training. Yeah.
That's what we're doing. But leave us a comment. We'll be back in just.
Achilles. Oh man, can you imagine blowing out your Achilles?
I mean, you have the Achilles. Like the whole story is about Achilles, right? That's how bad it is.
That's how bad it is. You ruin that, you're done.
It's in the history books.
It's like when Kobe. Remember Kobe blew out his Achilles in basketball. I don't know if you follow basketball. Yeah. Ugh, gosh.
But we will be back in just a few minutes. We'll get set up for the live technique portion. So if you have a piece of technique that you want broken down, we'll see you guys there.
And we're up.